Welcome to Redeeming Missions, an every home podcast where we explore the heart of what it means to carry Christ to our world. I'm Tanner Peak, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. Aaron, Nikkie, we're sitting here in Papua New Guinea, your home country, one of the most amazing people, amazing cultures that I've got to see. We've been here for the last day or so. We're going to be here for a couple days, seeing what God is doing. But we're just going to have a conversation today, really about what God is doing and in PNG, a little bit about yourself and just hearing who God made you to be. So thank you for sitting down. Thank you for hosting me. You've been an incredible host since we've been here. And so thank you for that.
It's our pleasure to have you and the team. We've been really looking forward to it. So I'm so glad that you finally made it to Mount Hagen, my home province, my home city.
Right.
And really excited for your visitation for these few days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before I ask you questions, I want to paint a picture of what our welcome was at the airport. We got off the airplane, a little prop airplane, and we were crossing the tarmac, and there was a huge sign that said welcome on it. And there are these beautiful women in, would you say
PNG
tribal
colors?
Yeah, PNG colors. Yeah. These women, these charismatic Catholic women, widows dancing and welcoming us. And so it was a really special moment for me. That will always stick out in my memory as it'll be how I think about PNG. So your hospitality here in PNG is incredible.
Yeah. This is the way we welcome, visitors. It's a really a way of expressing, you're welcome in this place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what happened yesterday at the airport. Those mothers, they were really looking forward to it. And, they were jumping with their songs, excited that, you made it to Mount Hagen, PNG. Yeah.
Well, I feel honored. I feel so blessed to be here, to be having conversation just the next couple of days. I think you're going to be incredible. Well, let me start out. I'm going to start out with a question. It's a big question. I think it's something you can answer simply, but I want to know maybe about the most transformative moment in your experience with Christ. Maybe one of the most, there's probably many. I'm guessing you've had many moments, but maybe there's a moment or an encounter with God that comes to your mind that was life-changing.
I came to know the Lord when I was in college. I was doing my first year, 1993. And that's where I had that encounter where God really got hold of my life. And like before that, I used to be just a church goer.
Right.
But after that encounter with the Lord, that has really changed my life. And while in the college, start from the day that I got converted, I started sharing my testimony, my life with those whom I came across with. So I always wanted to, share my testimony. And in doing so, I became a preacher, not realizing because of the excitement, the change, and the transformation that has happened in my life. I always want to tell everybody, get out there and then join some fellowships, doing outreaches, telling them about what Jesus has done in my life. So that is the transformation that has changed my life back in 1993.
93. How old were you?
I was about 17, around 17 years old, I guess 17 or 18.
Yeah.
That time when I gave my life to the Lord. And from that on, no turning back. I've been a preacher since then.
Really? From the beginning?
From the beginning. I started doing, in the mess hall where all the college students get together to have dinner. I would say just take your plates, but give me your ears. I would stand up and start preaching to them in the mess hall.
Aaron, that's awesome.
So most of them got fed up with me, and they even reported me to the admin. And they said, we don't want people preaching in the mess hall. This is a place where we eat.
Wow.
And they would question me and said, well, as long as I'm alive, I won't stop preaching.
Wow.
I will still preach. Whether you like, if you don't want to listen to me, take your plates, go and eat somewhere else. So that was a kind of a change that has happened in my life ever since. Up until now, I always want to go out and tell people about Jesus, maybe in the marketplace, in crusades, on the road, wherever. I must tell them the change that has happened in my life. Somebody also need to experience that transformation.
You, at some point, your journey crosses with Every Home for Christ. And just before this interview, you're telling me that the vision just captured you and you knew that this is something that you would give your life towards. Can you say a little bit more about that? What was it about Every Home for Christ's vision?
Exactly. I after graduating from college, I only taught for 4 years, but only 2 after the second year of teaching, that's in 1998, that's when the first Fijian missionaries introduced Every Home for Christ ministry to us.
And
that
90s?
was 98.
Okay.
And that's a time that vision captured me. Like going home to home, talking to somebody every day. And then there's something in me that just said, that's you.
Yeah.
There's something that you need to tell somebody about. So I've been battling for, after when I joined the ministry, as just helping the missionaries and, in ways that I can. And then I've been battling that for 2 years. And then the Lord said, it's time now to leave teaching. And you see, I think I only taught for just 4 years. And now the Lord was saying, it's time to go into full time. So 1999 was my last, I submitted my resignation. And I said, I'm finished from the teaching career. I want to be a missionary. I want to be Every Home for Christ worker.
Wow.
And, that is the vision of taking the gospel home to home.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, what's really unique, or what struck me since I've been here sitting with you, is just realizing the unique reality of Papua New Guinea. That you have over 800 different spoken languages, numerous tribes, thousands and thousands of villages. You have islands, you have a lack of, and there's very few roads even in this country connecting the various parts.
Right.
And so ministry, Every Home for Christ ministry in Papua New Guinea is really unique. And we are committed to going to every person in every place, no matter what. That's who we are. We're that type of people. Yeah. Say a little bit more about what, that you said that you were really caught up into the vision of Every Home. You wanted to go to home. You wanted to go to where people were living. Say a little bit of what that actually looks like in Papua New Guinea, because it's unique.
Yes. The vision of going home to home was like somehow I could relate it well with my experience of coming to know the Lord. And I said, if I can be able to share my testimony to somebody personally, I could make an impact to somebody's life.
Right.
So I was caught in between my teaching career and then going full time into ministry of telling somebody about Jesus. So then I have to really come to a point that I have to make a decision and say, that's enough of teaching. I will have to trust God, rely on God, and do what God is calling me to do.
Right.
So that time on, I always have this heart, considering PNG as the most diverse, in everything, culture, in languages, and
how many different tribes are there in Papua New Guinea?
It's over 1,000 tribes.
Over 1,000
tribes.
And am I right that it's over 800 different spoken languages?
860 languages in Papua New Guinea. So it's quite diverse. And everything is so different.
Right.
But one thing is common. It is the gospel that keeps the whole nation intact.
That's right.
And so that is where, when I have this heart and the passion. When I look at people, I see myself through them. And that always makes me cry. Yeah, driving into a very remote place and then seeing people on the road, it breaks my heart. This person is the gospel. I need to share that love of Christ with them. So that has been that passion that has been with me, and it's still burning every day. Every day I have this heart to want to just tell somebody about Jesus. That's what keeps me going in the ministry. Yeah.
In Papua New Guinea, that it's very challenging to get to where people are.
Yeah, of course.
There are many obstacles, many challenges.
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, there are people still living right, in the mainland, right into the interiors where there are no roads at all. And sometimes for many people, they can walk for even a whole day or even 2 days to get to their village. And these are real people who are living out there. And even into the highland, separated by those smaller highlands, people are still very remote. And that, it puts a lot of, big challenge upon us. How can we make that gospel accessible to these people? Somebody needs to get there. So that has been the drive, the main drive that keeps us going. Even, our missionaries, our pioneer missionaries, the same passion that I go, even I visit the missionaries on the field. I sleep with them on the field. I cry with them. And then I say, keep going. So it's a passion that's in me to share the gospel. And that is where I encourage my team. Let's do it. Let's move on. Let's not give up. And the challenges are there. The real challenges are there of, barriers and social issues that really, sometimes stop us from getting what we want to, take the gospel across to the people and right up into the mountains, into the valleys and crossing
Rivers,
and, challenging. And sometimes I could drive them to the point where, and I will see them just walking. And then I can't go beyond because I have the vehicle there. I could see my workers just leaving me behind with the vehicle, and they would just climb up the mountain. And I would just sit there. And I was really emotional. And then I always come back praying for them. Say, Lord, keep them there as they are moving into villages, as they're moving into places. It's been really a challenge for us, but, because of that love we have for God and the passion that drives us to do what we do,
What about that makes you emotional, Aaron? What about that?
It is the love for the people. The love for the people living right in those places. If I can come to know the Lord, how about these people out there? Yeah. So this makes me emotional. Every time when I think of people, I always, my heart breaks for the people.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you talk about workers, going up mountains and valleys. Is it dangerous?
Sometimes it's very dangerous, especially when there are tribal conflicts and the missionaries caught in between, and the people are fighting with guns. It's sometimes very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous and risky at the same time. And even walking through some mountains, there are snakes, poisonous snakes. They encounter. But God supernaturally protects them.
Tribal conflicts. That's something that I think a lot of people listening to this podcast will have no idea what that means or what that would even look like. What does it look like for us to be caught in between in the midst of tribal conflicts? Us just trying to bring the gospel. Right. What does that mean for us?
Yeah, for us, we said this is a nation made up of tribes.
Right.
So we said about more than 1,000 tribes. So the tribe, we are bound by our tribal system.
Right.
Everything we do is centered around the tribe.
Right.
So even though you are an individual, you are still, you are in this tribal, you are, governed, you are like, you are part of the tribe. That's your DNA.
Yeah. And your loyalty, right?
Yes.
So lots of loyalty.
Loyalty in that.
Yeah.
So tribal wars usually happen like if my my brother or my tribesman, one of my tribesmen is killed by another tribe, by maybe went out drinking and accidentally stabbed by someone, is dead. And that is where the whole tribe gathers together, get together and say, okay, we're gonna retaliate.
Wow.
So
it's like a war, like a small war.
Oh, exactly. So this is when somebody dies, that's automatically you're talking about guns involved.
Right.
It comes in. So they don't waste time. As soon as somebody dies, when the news said the other tribe, they have to retreat. They have to go back, regroup in their own villages. They will call them around and said, don't be caught off guard somewhere. Somebody's so an incident has happened.
Wow.
So you're gonna be killed right there. So they will call them up, send a message, get back home, get back into hiding.
Wow.
So they will do that quickly, because when the moment somebody dies, to retaliate never takes time.
Wow.
The moment it's down, it's just quick. So they just go out looking for, if there's somebody who could be out somewhere in town or somewhere part of the tribe, when they see that person, they could just kill him on the spot.
So what does it mean?
In retaliation.
Retribution, yeah.
Right.
What does it mean though when we show up in the middle of that?
Okay, when you show up in the middle of that, like, there's only like they're facing each other on the enemies. They're watching out for the enemies. But sometimes all this, it's they take advantage of that situation where they're gunmen, they're in the fight with they have no money,
right?
And there's somebody who's stranger coming in, said, "Oh, that's our opportunity. Let's get his back. Let's rob him of whatever his possession is, because there's no law now. There's no law.
Wow.
So everything is now like it's outlaw.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a tribal war, so you have no control. Even the police have no control over that. So it's you take your own risk to enter into those places.
So it's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It just sounds crazy dangerous.
It is dangerous.
Really volatile.
Very, very volatile.
Wow.
So, but even in the midst of all that, you just imagine our missionaries just passing through, just going. And then sometimes like they're just caught just in the middle of that. And for them to get to the other side, they have to go through this tribal war zone.
Wow.
And they have to pray and say, Lord, we need your intervention. And they walk through. So a lot of experience with our workers, going through battlefields, meeting up with gunmen, and God just, protects them, and some, in a way, gives them this, gunman peace.
Yeah.
And they do not take them. And we have a great testimony. Our work of reaching every home in this nation is only by the grace of God. It's only by the grace of God that God, we literally feel His protection over as we are moving through. So that is, I always tell the missionaries, you meet God face to face on the field.
Yeah.
That's where the real heat is on.
Yeah.
So, even in these very tough situations, we said, some would just say, okay, we are in this situation, please keep us in your prayers. So sometimes I would just quickly on the database say, okay, please, urgent prayer needed. And then I'm also texting our friends, let's pray for this, our team right now. They're in this dangerous situation right now. So we continue to get to pray, but God is always there protecting them. So
I heard a story. I don't know if this is true or not, so I want you to tell me if this is true or not. But I heard a story that our pioneer missionaries at times will make boats out of like banana leaves or things like that, and then float down rivers and preach the gospel. Is that true?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, tell me more about that. That's just what I heard. So tell me more.
Yeah, I think there's some photographs of some missionaries you see building rafts themselves with banana trees. So yeah,
Yeah, banana trees.
Yeah, they stack them together using sticks and make it as a raft. And then there's another that build it up just to put their bags on. And then they're floating down, get to the next village. So they do that.
And then they get to the village, and then what? They go into the village
And into the village,
preach the
start
gospel?
preaching to them, sharing the gospel with them, and then the villagers would come and help them to get to the other side.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we have great testimonies of these, missionaries going and even crossing those rivers. Some even, floating on tire tubes.
Tire tubes, yeah.
They blow it up and then they hang on, put all the gospel tracks on, their bags on, and then they start floating down streams.
It's just, it's incredible. I think that it's hard to convey, I think, to someone who's maybe not sitting here, just how challenging it is to take the gospel to every person in a place like Papua New Guinea. And I think you're helping paint that picture when we talk about people floating on inner tubes or on banana trees or walking through the middle of war. You said there's snakes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like my worst nightmare. I mean, it's just walking on snakes. We had outside of our hotel room, we have these huge spiders. I can't even imagine what our workers are facing in terms of even that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's, I remember in one instance where they were working together, but the team that went ahead, they actually stepped on one poisonous snake.
Oh.
That's in some remote. They were walking for like days, and then not realizing that they stepped on it and they killed. The snake was, killed. They never realized. But the next team that came, they saw this. The poisonous snake was, and then we refer back to the word of God, which says, you can take up serpents, they will not bite you, and God is so
there's divine protection.
Yes.
I mean, truly divine protection.
Divine, truly divine. This is a special grace that is upon our missionaries. I mean, I always salute my missionaries, the pioneer missionaries, the volunteers. They walk the land, they climb mountains into those places. They never give up. There's something that I really, it's that passion for the people, that even though they're walking up the mountain, very tired, they never give up. This is something that, I sometimes sit down and wonder, Lord, it's something that God, you have put into every individual who is being part of the ministry. They don't give up. They keep moving on until the last home is reached. Even it means, even there's no money in the pocket. They're working for days, and God provides. There's somebody coming up. Testimonies of, people coming up with food, and they would just give it to them. So they say, are they angels or real human beings in the middle of nowhere? And these are instances where the missionaries would come back with testimonies. And so even there's no networks, no mobile network. We don't know where they are. It's sometimes hard to communicate. I would have to pray and wait. Just pray and wait until sometimes they would go to a place right up into a mountain just to get a signal, just to call. And say, oh, we are here. Okay. Then I know I'm settled. So, so this is what really happens. And the recent team of missionaries that went into one of the remote districts in Jimmy, they crossed rivers, walked until they reached that district. They covered that district. They were about to return back, but they could imagine the way they came. I don't want to go back the same way. But they had no choice. But just the night before, when the next day they were going to walk, the Lord showed a dream to the leader. There was a big jet plane that landed right into where they were. And then he got up and said, oh, how come you can just landed here? And then he just said, oh, it's just a dream. Okay. And they were starting to get up to work. And that reality came. The MAF, the little plane, the Twin Otters,
Mission
the
Aviation Fellowship.
Aviation Fellowship.
Yeah.
The headquarters in Mount Hagen. So the pilot flew in, dropped some passengers, and he was going to return back. And the missionaries saw this opportunity, approached the pilot. We are Every Home for Christ missionaries. They presented their IDs. They said, oh yeah. The pilot said, I know Every Home for Christ. We are partners. We have been reaching homes here. Please, can you take us back to, okay, then you have to, pay, I think some 400 or 500 kina. They said, we only have 250 kina. Can you take us? Okay, well, I'll take you. As soon as we reach Mount Hagen, maybe we'll call your director or somebody to come and pay up the remaining money. We will do that.
It probably saved them days of time flying,
God, provided that. So, just out of nowhere, that just plane landed. They could have missed the plane if they took off in the morning.
Right.
But the perfect was just the perfect timing in which they were about to leave the village and then they could eat this bus, the little plane was about to roll. Yeah. I said, oh man, we'll just wait and see. So if he's going to take some passengers, he's going to return empty. So then when they saw that, I said, oh, what an opportunity. So they just approached him and said, yeah, we are missionaries. So, wow. And some of them were first time for them to fly on a plane. First time. All of them. I think maybe all of them. First time to fly on an aeroplane.
Wow. That was an experience, I'm sure, for them.
So when they reached the headquarters here in Mount Hagen, they were here at the airport and they called me. Said, we're here. And I said, where are you? You in Jimmy or you in Hagen? We're already in Hagen, in Mount Hagen. How did you come? We came by MAF. Please come, bring 200 kina pay and bail us out from here. I said, okay, I'm coming.
That's amazing.
So I had to go down and then thank the MAF and pay the 200 kina bill, and then they came out. So it was like, God provides. These are some of the amazing testimonies of people, missionaries seeing God really at work in the field. And they say in the field, it's like we are walking with God. Wherever we go, it's a walk of faith, and we're trusting that God, maybe our next meal is somewhere there. Or maybe our next accommodation is somewhere there. Somehow, it's not planned. They just walk. But for this, how many years the missionaries have been walking? No one has been, died in the mission field of starvation or attacked by some, enemies or got killed in the mission field. No, we've never.
The Lord has protected.
The Lord has protected them right in the mission field. So,
want an exclusive peek into the stunning landscape of the Western Highlands region of Papua New Guinea? Witness as newly trained believers are commissioned and sent out to reach their neighbors in this video update shot on location during Tanner's recent visit with Aaron, Nikkie, and other local Every Home leaders. Check it out at everyhome.org/PNG.
Aaron, how do people respond to the gospel when we go out to these tribes or to these people, very remote people? Are they receptive to the gospel?
Very, very receptive. They welcome the gospel. It's like very precious to them. So when you hear them, some even respond. They give their lives to the Lord. The missionaries would pray for them, and then they run fellowships with them in the evenings. With some bit of discipleship, teachings, and helping them to really understand. And sometimes we find it really difficult if there's no church close to where they are.
Right.
It's a great challenge for us. How can we,
disciple them?
Disciple these people? We can be there with them forever. We are only there for a couple of weeks, and then we'll be out of this place. So it's really a challenge. And I always challenge my partner churches and pastors. I tell them, pastors, we have a greater responsibility, and that is to plant churches everywhere in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
This is a huge demand. People would say, please, Every Home, you plant a church here. We need a church here.
Wow.
And we tell them, no, we don't plant
We
churches.
don't plant churches.
We only have, do Christ group little fellowships.
Yeah.
And those fellowships, we would like to see churches coming over to take on, and then we will move on. This is the way we do it. We don't plant churches. And they would say, oh, please, if somebody could come here and plant a church.
Wow.
We come back and tell the pastors, the nearest church, please, there are people out there. And then again, those pastors, if they are really passionate, they would go in and, start up a church. And sometimes they are caught up with a lot of programs, activities in the church that, sometimes it's difficult for those people who we are saved, we are respond to the gospel, and this to bring them to a church. Especially for the ministry here, I see this is a big challenge. And sometimes I feel that we are only scratching the surface. The real work is out there. If it means we can plant churches, then that can really, make the work as fulfilling the Great Commission,
Right.
making disciples and all, that. So it's always been a challenge in my heart. I always challenge the pastors, please, this is how I see it. And if we can work together, if we can plant churches, if we can send church workers into those places, we can help disciple the nation.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Have you seen transformation of like tribes or of culture? I mean, what is the impact of the gospel at a social level or at a tribal level?
yes,
It's a hard question.
No. You're right. That we have seen a lot of transformation taking place as far as the gospel presentation is there.
Right.
Moving into one example of here working together with churches, partnering around here in a change that has taken place in just across the other side of the city. There's a place that they used to call Animal Market,
Okay.
where they do all the illegal activities, drug selling,
Right.
everything that. So they call it Animal Market, and that was happening right in the heart of the town. So that's when God spoke to, my leader, who's one of the board, Pastor Johnny, and we said that we need to make something need to happen. Transformation need to happen right here in this place. We can't let this thing happen.
Right.
So we were praying, and then he said, okay, we're going to go in for a 21 days Daniel strategy. We're going to hold a crusade right at that place. So we ran an open air crusade for 21 days.
Whoa.
And that place the Animal Market is all gone.
Whoa.
It's no more. So now, if we have some time, I will show you this. It's now a bus stop, and that place that people usually fear to go. They know it's the Animal Market, all the illegal activities happen right in the heart of the town, but the power of the gospel transformed.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
that same strategy, we took it into Hagen under the leadership of Pastor Johnny, working in partnership with, and then there was this killing in Hagen in the trouble fight. There was in one day there was about 70 people slaughtered, man. And that really caught his attention and said, we're going to take another Daniel's 21-day strategy.
I like it's a Daniel strategy.
Yeah. So we're going to go for another 21 days. So we mobilized the churches. We took our tent, our meeting tent, our missionaries. We all went in and into that battlefield. And we erected the tent. Most of the pastors as well. We all slept in that battlefield. And the meeting went on.
You slept in the tent?
No, some houses there.
Around, yeah,
around.
okay,
Some
okay,
houses there. But this is where the battlefield just, came in hand, where most of the refugees were living, people were living in fear.
Right.
And that is when God spoke. These people need the gospel. So we went in for never had the 21 days of a crusade like this in that place. So we went there, ran the 21-day crusade, and after that, we heard that the old tribal war has just ceased.
Whoa.
And people are going back into their normal lives. So these are some of the experiences we see transformation in the
that's
lives
incredible.
of people really happening. And a lot of this tribal war, we have seen a lot of this happening especially in the highlands, in the southern highlands, in Enga, in Hela, we went there recently. there was a lot of transformation. We hear stories of people, testifying of what the missionaries have done, and even going into place with the gunmen who were ready to go to war and fight, and then the missionaries showed up, presented the gospel to them, and they said, "Today we are not going out for war."
Whoa.
So these are some of the transformation experiences that we see, the missionaries going into those places. So God has really used us in ways to bring some kind of like transformation, restoration that happens. And the other one that I think we went the last year into Chimbo, that's another province. The pastor is there. I think we might meet them tomorrow down there. He was the one very, very instrumental. 2 tribes were involved in fighting. I think several deaths, 7 or 8 deaths in the tribe. The missionaries went in, walked with them both, enemy tribes, going to the other tribe, talking with them. Can you reconcile? Preaching to them until they said, okay, we'll come into reconciliation.
Whoa.
And then that's where we took our big tent with it's a big, long drive right into the interior. And we erected the tent. We hosted this big meeting, and there was reconciliation. They would come to it. They said, okay, you team, the Everyone for Christ team, go ahead and become the mediators. So we became the mediators, and they seconds, they reconciled, and it's total peace, no more.
Wow.
So the tent was erected at the church ground. The church was there, the building was there, but it's all, the bushes were growing. The pastor's house was there, but nobody was living because everybody ran away because of the trouble fight. And the amazing thing, after when we removed the tent and we came back, God's presence was still in that place. Even after several months, people would go to that place and get healing, physical healing. They have got sickness, they would send a message around that God is still in this place. If you need healing, come over. So people would come just at the place where the tent was erected, and they said God was still sleeping in this place.
Whoa.
So they didn't even wait for a pastor to pray for them. They just come into that, just at that spot, and they would be healed. So pastor is here. You will hear some more stories of what God has done. There's a transformation that happens as our team goes into these places, reconciling warring tribes. It's really amazing what God is doing in our nation. Yeah.
The gospel is literally bringing peace.
Yes.
I mean, like literally conflict, war, and you're saying that gospel workers or pioneer missionaries are standing in between really guns, and the gospel's preached,
Right.
and there's peace as a result. I love this story. I love that story you just told about the tent and about the Lord's presence still being there. It's powerful. I think the Lord's presence is the most transformative. It's the most powerful facet of the gospel. Because I think that when we preach the gospel, His presence goes with us. There's inherent power in the retelling of the story of Christ. Exactly. And there's something about His presence that attracts people. In this story, it heals people. Yeah. And it's incredible. So, Aaron, I could talk to you for a lot longer, but I've enjoyed our time. You're brilliant. You're articulate. You're such a passionate leader. I love your tears. I'm getting to know you more and more the longer I'm with you. And you and your wife, Roselyn, that you just carry a big burden for this nation. Your heart, I can tell, is just really for your people and for all of the peoples of Papua New Guinea. One of the most challenging jobs. I talked to every Home for Christ workers around the world, and Papua New Guinea is up there as one of the most challenging places. But you do it with joy. You do it with a smile and with tears. And so just want to bless you and honor you and your wife for all that you do. And I think people will be encouraged by what they've heard on this podcast today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us today on the Redeeming Missions podcast. If you like what you heard, we encourage you to visit everyhome.org/redeemingmissions to find all past episodes and learn more about Every Home and joining the efforts to carry Christ to everyone, everywhere, in every generation. Echoing Patrick, Christ with us, Christ before us, Christ behind us, Christ in us. Let us carry Christ to our world. Until next time.